So today we're going to speak about the challenges that startup faced with, and where to find a place for QA process in this flow of challenges. First of all, what do any founders have when they decide to create a startup? When founders launch a startup, the main thing that they have is a passion. The ideas that can change the world and help people to do something, to make the world better, and so on. And mainly all startups run through the same timeline. So firstly, you find some people that as much crazy as you are, and you start to develop your product, starting to create some proof of concept, try to go to production. After that, you try to gain as much user as possible. Of course, you switch on all your marketing channels, trying to acquire users. They try and do something, and then we come to the main challenge. Some black box magic, where we believe that everything is done and we're ready to rule the world. And this is just a joke, but what is the main challenges of any startup? We think that the main challenges is finding their own product market fit. Product market fit is a scenario in which companies target customers are buying, using, and telling all over the audience about you and your product. And in this search, you should answer four main questions. The first question is what? What is your solution? What does your product do? How it works? What is the solution and what it solves? Then we came to question who is your customer? Who's your audience? What is your audience pain that your solution can solve? Are you B2B or B2C product? You targeted small enterprise, small e-commerce, or maybe it's enterprise product. So the question is who. Then when we understand who is our target audience, we should understand where to find them, what marketing channel we should use to gain all these users into our product, and which campaigns will we use. And then we'll come to the questions how to sell, because we can use some one-time payment or subscription plan. We can pay per user, pay per action, pay per account. So practically, here's four main questions of any startup. And to find all these, to answer all these questions, startups should change quickly and try different product and marketing hypotheses. And of course, all these activities in a lack of time. And now we need to understand where is a place for QA in such rapidly changing atmosphere. According to research of Blicken Institute of Technology from Sweden, here we have 5 main challenges that any startup averagely faced with. First, and practically the main issues, and it's not only for a startup, but for any technological and even not technological company, is a lack of investment, lack of money. Company can just can't afford QA engineer on their team. It's always something inside your product that needs to be paid. It can be some like one more developer to grow faster or to deliver a new feature faster. Or you want to try one more marketing channel, one more marketing campaign and gain more users. And QA is like the third question of this time. Then we came to lack of time. And it can be more specific for startup because we're trying different hypotheses. We trying to understand and to research our product market fit, what to do, where to sell, and so on. And startups release their feature, and they need to release their feature as quick as possible. And sometimes they go to release untested. And as a result, like untested feature, quickly development. Why do we need QAs? Because we have no time for testing. And then we came to like obvious thing that when bugs go on prod, we understand that we need the developers but still have no money. And sometimes founders try to hire less professional engineers, or it's even more often thing when company developers take the QA responsibilities. Both options will negatively affect the final quality of the product. Lack of skills and experience lead to mistakes. Mistakes, again, lead to bugs. And one more big issue that comes from another point, all other points, choosing wrong tool set for your testing needs, because still you have lack of experience and it leads to wrong choice. Solution didn't fit the requirement, lack features that you need. So again, we came to waste time and waste of money. And what's happened when we didn't do all these 5 steps and user came into your product? The disaster happens, of course, because you see that bugs all over the prod because of rapid development and rapid feature deployment. Absence of professional testers leads to unpredictable scenario, because QA engineer have a skills to understand how will user, what is the user flow can be on your product, but for example, developers not, they have not such skills. And then when you understand that there is a lot of bugs and unpredictable scenarios, you're trying to hire a test engineer. And it leads to, again, wasted of money. You spend money for development, invested it to marketing, gain new users, and all this reputation was ruined by bugs on prod. So the money and the time was spent for nothing. And we know that in startup, money and time is the most important resource. So now we'll give some practical advice how to prevent such scenario and establish solid QA process inside the startup from the day one. Hanno will tell us more about some concepts and some practices that will help you in your way. Hanno, the mic is yours.
Yep, thank you, Anton. So now let's discuss the practices of creating test cases and move to the next slide. Firstly, your test cases should be easy to read because after all, you read them way more often than you rewrite those or edit. So it's important to prioritize clear documentation. Start by clearly defining the objective of the test case, what specific functionality or feature are you testing, and then provide a brief overview or description of the test case. The idea here is that those things set the context for the testers and ensure they understand the purpose. Also clearly state necessary preconditions required for the test case to execute successfully. Secondly, provide step-by-step instructions. Steps are essential part of every test case because they describe the scenario being tested. So leave no room for interpretation so that any member of your team can easily follow the path you create. Also keep steps as minimum as possible, ideally below 10 or 12, but if you have a test case with too many steps, just break down those test cases into smaller ones. And moving on, the expected results. Clearly define what expected result should look like for each test case step. Be concise when describing what results QA engineers should expect. Also, don't just focus on positive scenarios. Include test cases that test the system's ability to handle invalid inputs, errors, or unexpected user actions. Also, it would be great to include edge cases or boundary conditions because this will help you to find some vulnerabilities. Now let's move to the next slide and discuss how test coverage helps to save money. If you're running test cases at the very beginning of the development lifecycle, you will be able to uncover bugs at the earliest. Preventiveness ensures that problems don't escalate into more complex and, in fact, expensive challenges. Following this approach, your development team can smoothly tackle these issues during the development phase, preventing the dreaded backlog of problems that could potentially haunt you as soon as you approach their production. And by the way, you don't have to trust me on this one. Let's please move to the next slide. And here we can see the studies telling that such an approach, commonly called shift-left testing, allows teams to save big going down the road. So you can see a relative cost of a bug on the screen here. And let's move to the next slide and see what should be taken into consideration while testing the application. So in order not to face such problems, it is important to test at least the most popular devices and browsers. Nowadays, obviously, users interact with apps in many different ways, but most popular one is their smartphone. So it is important, even for startup, to prioritize at least the most popular devices and browsers for testing. To pick the right ones, you can refer to browser and device share statistics. So to sum up, why is testing coverage is important? As we discussed earlier, early detection means early resolution, and early resolution will save you money and brand reputation. You only make first impression once, so think about it this way. Quality of your products is also a quality and reputation of your brand in the eyes of consumers. Now let's move to the next slide. So it's hard to imagine a startup without developers, but it's very easy to find one without testers. Still, we need to ensure a synergy between the development process and the entire testing workflow. Try to think of test cases as more than just something QAs need. There is a reason why test cases are commonly called testing documentation. It's because they will help developers and developers will be able to dive deep into project specification also as testers. And while business requirements start to mix and overlap over time, test cases, if maintained the right way, can become a source of truth at the final stages of software development lifecycle. And now my colleague will tell you how to rule test documentation in one place.
Thank you, Hannah. So, for the moment, we understand that we need to develop some kind of QA process. And in this, when test project grows, it's become obvious that we need some to centralize all these activities in one place of truth that can allow us to create this development and QA synergy practically. And here we come to mom and dad, little helper in the evil world of bug. We understand that we need some test management system, we are like in any startup at the very beginning, they're trying to develop all the testing documentation inside of spreadsheet and Excel. And with the growth of startup, such kind of solution will not work at all, because test management system is a place designed to streamline various aspects of software testing process. Its primary role is to centralize and manage all activities related to testing, from test planning, case creation, to test execution, tracking, and reporting. Now we will describe the role of test management solution in software testing process. And I like to mention all the pros that help you to rule the process much easier with the centralized solution. The first thing is planning, because test management system helps teams plan their testing efforts by defining test objectives, scope, and strategies. To stay effective, testers can create test plan outlining the overall testing approaches, resource allocation, and spot all this information in one timeline. Also, test management system can simplify and decrease manual efforts. It provides you easy means for sorting and organizing test case and test documentation. It's especially important when you have not hundreds, but thousands and thousands of different test cases inside of your project. Tester can create, edit, and categorize test case based on different criteria such as functionality, priority, or test type. And it's crucial, will save our time, of course. Also, test management system often includes defect tracking functionality, allowing testers to log and manage identified issues or bugs. Also, you can generate reports that provide insight into your testing process. You can create such reports as test coverage, pass-fail rates report, maybe defect status, and many others. So in your imagination, what do you need in your reporting? Also, test management system as a single place of truth established traceability by linking test case to specific requirements or user stories. This helps ensure that every aspect of software functionality is tested, and it provides a clear view of which requirements has been tested and their test results. Also, for startups, it's really important to understand how to choose and what should be taken into consideration when you're choosing test management system. First of all, you can make a list of things that's important for your product. We can give you some point that will fit everyone. For everyone, it's can be different, and you can prioritize it by yourself. But you can create still comparison metrics of existing solution with all the features that you especially need, and prioritize them. And according to this matrix, it will be easy for you to make a right decision. Like in general, it can be really important practically for everyone. The things that can be taken into consideration is, first of all, of course, money. Money is always a question for startup, for anyone. And you can find someone where you can start from free plan, or where you can access to a free trial. You'd better find a balance of money spent and functionality that you need, because the truth is always somewhere in the middle, as always. Also, integration of capabilities, because you should check if every tool that you currently use in your development can be integrated inside of your test management system. Because it's gonna be awful or disaster when you choose your system, start creating your test process, and then you find that someone can be integrated, and you should start all this process from the very beginning. Also, scalability. Scalability is really crucial for startup, because the main aim of any startup is to grow exponentially. So you're gonna gain more and more users, and your test documentation will also grow. And you should check all these scalability capabilities of the system. It can be multi-project capabilities. It can be permission management. In future, you will need to start automation testing, for example. And in order not to look for another solution for automation testing, you can check either any kind of automation testing capabilities inside your current test management system. It's also going to be a plus. And UI, like time is a money. So in the first stage of integration of test management system, you must be sure that there is no usability issues that you can start testing quickly. UI is a front side of testing, and your team should manipulate inside of it in a glance. Also, I would like to mention some points that last but not least for any like solution provider, and when you choosing solution provider. First, don't hesitate to submit a demo call where all your questions will be answered. It can be faster to understand, does the product is the right fit for you? Because you can investigate it by yourself in your trial period, try to create your own thing and understand everything by yourself, but it takes hours. Demo call take 30 minutes and all the questions can be answered. Also, when you grab all the requirements, you can conduct proof of concept. We believe that proof of concept speak even better than research and any words. You just see how it works. And solution provider always help with proof of concept conducting. Also, when you check all the technical things about solution, you can check if there any educational support session with a solution provider exists, because you will face with questions and challenges in establishing testing process, and it is always good to know that someone will cover your back. Now my colleague will show practically all these things that we speak today and show how we solve all this point inside the Zebrunner test management system. And after that, we can make some Q&A session.
Yeah, now let me quickly share my screen. I hope you can see it. So I'll demonstrate you the Zebrunner test case management system, where QA engineers can manage testing documentation, plan testing phases, and keep track of test run results. If you already have a testing documentation in your startup and you've been storing it in Google Sheets, for example, there is an option to download your documentation in CSV file and then upload it to Zebrunner. So I've already prepared a CSV file, so let me show you how it works. So we can import our test cases. Now we can see that the import is in progress, and here we can see that the import is successfully finished. If you are just hired a QA engineer and you are starting your project documentation, you can try a free version of Zebrunner test case management platform. So here you can see that some noticeable button presented here to create test suite and test case. So you can use those to create your testing documentation from scratch. Usually teams have great amount of test cases, so it makes sense to organize test cases into main groups. Here you can see test suites. Test suites could be nested, so you can put one suite inside other, and here we will call them subsuites. Now let me open the test case for you to get the idea how it looks like. So here we have several tabs. The first one is General tab. We can see the description of our test case here, preconditions, postconditions, and steps to reproduce. Then we have Properties tab. Here we can see the information, who is the author of this particular test case, when it was created, the priority, automation state, and so on. Then you'll be able to see the attachments, if there are any, and the last step stands for execution. So once you execute your test case, you'll be able to see the results here. It's not always convenient to look through our test cases in that way, so we can switch to model view, or we can open our test case dedicated page to see the whole picture. Also, from here, we can switch between our test cases. We can copy a link to this particular test case, copy its key. Also, we are able to edit, clone, or delete our test case. Another thing I wanted to mention here is that in Zebrunner, it is possible to add custom fields to the test cases. So if you have some kind of field that should be added to your test case, you can do it here in test case fields. So here you can see some system fields that are presented by default, and here we can add some custom fields. So let's add the field of the device type and see what types of custom fields we have here. So we have date, dropdown, multi-select, string, text, and so on. So many types are presented here. We can select multi-select option for our purpose. So let's add several options. Let it be mobile, tablet, and desktop. And let's make desktop as a default option. So once we are going back to our test cases and we create a new test case, we can see the device type custom field here. Let's take a view to another part of test repository section, which is called shared steps. I've already created one shared step as an example, so we can create a single step or a sequence of steps in order not to write those steps from scratch every time. We can simply use shared steps in our test cases. So let me show you how it works. When we edit our test case, we can add shared step here. We can drag and drop our steps to the needed place and then save our test case. So this is really convenient and may decrease the creating efforts. Also, another thing you can do here is edit, clone, move, or delete your test cases in a bulk mode. Everything could change dramatically in startups, so this feature will save a lot of time of your QA engineer. So, simple example, the name of one feature is changed and you have to update it in all of your test cases. So what you have to do is to select edit option here, then select test cases where this name should be updated, and select the particular option. For example, the name was stated in the preconditions field. So you enter the new value here and then update all of your test cases. So it will be really time consuming to do it one by one. So in this case, bulk action edit could be used. Now let's move to test run section and create a test run. So let's create a test run with logging functionality. Here we can select the environment, a milestone, which is a concept of planning, and you can set the upcoming release version, for example. Then we select configurations, and then we add our test cases. So let's select the first suite and create our test run. So once I created a test run, I can see that test cases are in untested status. So once I'm done with testing, I can submit the results to the system. So I can do it one by one. or I can do it in a bulk mode. So I'm just selecting several cases and then set the result in a bulk mode. Let's imagine that some of test cases have failed. So here I can link the issue to those failed test cases. So let's link one. And we can provide the details here. And save our execution result. So here we can see that our issue was linked. And here on execution step, we'll be able to see this information. So once we are done with testing and we can see that some of our test cases have failed, we can create a rerun once we receive the signal from the development side that everything was fixed. So let's create a rerun. So here again, we can see that a rerun with selected test cases was created, and again, we can set the results in this run. Once everything was done, we can close our run. So it means that our test run becomes immutable. So we won't be able to edit anything here. So this is how it looks like. Overall, by that time, I showed you how to create test cases, how to add custom fields, shared steps, and use bulk actions and create test runs. One more thing I wanted to mention is that if you face any questions during your journey in Zebrunner, you can see that we have a support chat here. So if you have any questions, you can send it to this chat and our support team will reply. So thank you for your attention. That's it from my side. And now I'm giving the floor back to Anton.
Thank you very much, Hannah. I'd like to summarize all the been told today. As a startup founders, it should be understood that QA process is as important process as any other, as development or marketing. As any other process, it should be established with the right people, with a proper documentation, proper processes, and suitable tool set. And I think that with all these points, will help you to our first slide to rule the world. Thank you for your time with us. Now we have like 5-10 minutes for Q&A session. You can leave your questions to the chat, or you can raise the hand and we will try to answer your questions. While we're waiting, I'm also would like to say that this webinar was recorded, and we will send you a link to the webinar and a link to try and play with the Zebrunner test management by email, like after the webinar. Also, don't hesitate to join us at LinkedIn. We are trying not to like creating spam content and so on. We make like not much updates, but also all our posts and updates are quite insightful and useful for startup community. And also there you can find some info about the Zebrunner platform and our future webinars and activities if you'd like to join. So I see a question for Anna in the chat. Thank you for presentation. If this case that you are already shared in both manual and automation testing process, or just for one of them, in which activity is applied mostly? Be clear, it's in the chat. Can you specify the question about which case especially you mean? Or I can unmute you if you can, and you will talk.
Hi, Alina. Thank you for your question. So if I understand you correctly, you mean if you added your shared step to manual test case and then you attached it to automation execution. So if you'll be able to see that test case. So if that is the question, then yes, you will be able to see the preview of your test case and see those shared steps.
Thank you for your question. So 1 more minute for your questions, if there exist. So if there is no more questions, we can finish our today's webinar. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for being with us. Come and check our website and our social media. We are happy to see you all in our future events, in our media presence. Thank you.